Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, 6th chapter, text number 36. Asaṁyatātmanā yogo duṣprāpa iti me matiḥ vaśyātmanā tu yatatā śakyo vāptum upāyataḥ asaṁyata, unbridled. Does anybody know what unbridled means? No? Hindi, unbridled? It comes from the horse. When the horse is bridled, it means the horse has got the thing in his mouth and you got it under control. And when it's unbridled, there's none of that. So the horse is just going wild, out of control. That's unbridled. Okay? So imagine the horse. Ātmanā, by the mind. Yogaḥ, self-realization. Duṣprāpaḥ, difficult to obtain. Iti, thus. Me, my. Matiḥ, opinion. Vaśya, controlled. Ātmanā, by the mind. To, but. Yatatā, while endeavoring. śakyaḥ, practical. Avāptum, to achieve. Upāyataḥ, by appropriate means. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Do you want to hear that one again? Are you sure? Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Kṛṣṇa conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Kṛṣṇa conscious. Asaṁyatātmanā yogo duṣprāpa iti me matiḥ vaśyātmanā tu yatatā śakyo vāptum upāyataḥ. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Om ajñānatimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kedamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vācālam pangum langayate girim yat kripadam maham vande Sri Gurudinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So here in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Kṛṣṇa is explaining to his dear friend and devotee Arjuna the yoga system. And just a couple of verses ago, just to put you up to place, Arjuna asked Kṛṣṇa a very honest and a very important question. How to control the mind. And Kṛṣṇa gave him some advice, and Arjuna said, sorry, I can't do this. It's just not possible. Not for me. Doesn't work. And Kṛṣṇa's answer was, yes, it is possible. You have to do 2 things. Who remembers? What are those 2 things? Practice and detachment. Abhyasena vairagyena. Okay? If you want to get a tattoo, you can get tattoos now in Vrindavan. Have you seen? All right? Put abhyasena and vairagyena, okay? That will remind you of what your business is. I'm not saying you should get it, but you can get it, on your mind. So, and this is the follow-up verse for yesterday's verse. Yesterday's verse was, Lord Kṛṣṇa said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So abhyas, suitable practice. What is suitable practice? We go out and we meet people every day, or here, you don't have to go out, people come to you. And people will tell you, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a whatever. And then your reply is, what's your practice? Right? What is your practice? What is your abhyas? And to the great surprise, majority of these people will say, practice? There is a practice? I mean, look at me. I'm wearing it. I got all the stuff that you need in order to be a somebody. No. What is your practice? Like here, most people are dressed in a certain way. But what is their practice? That is what defines who we are, our practice. Practice is what happens when no one is watching. That is your practice. You ever heard that saying that a tree falls in the forest and if no one is there to witness it, it didn't happen? Have you heard that? And you can argue about that from many points of view. Nowadays the saying is, if it wasn't on social media, it didn't happen. You're aware of that, right? Now I hope your abhyas, your bhajan, your sadhana happens, and I hope it's not on social media. Because otherwise, it's not really abhyas, it's something else. Okay? Are you with me? Yes. Okay? When you do your bhajan, you don't have to show that to anybody. Why not? Because you're doing it for yourself. And if you're present, if you're actually aware, you don't need to have confirmation from others that you're doing it. Like, did you have lunch today? Yes. Was it good? Yes. Did you get confirmation or did you need validation or proof from anybody that you had lunch today? No, you did not. Because you ate lunch, right? So, in a similar way, if you practice your abhyas, your sadhana, your bhajan, you don't have to get validation from other people that you're doing your bhajan. It is said that when you're feeling ecstasy in your heart, don't reveal it to your mind. Why? Because your mind will try to corrupt it, will try to exploit it. What's the first thing the mind will tell you? Hey, you're pretty advanced. Hey, you're doing it, man. Look at you, you know? You already chanted so many rounds before Mangalarti. I mean, you're flying. You're really somebody. Has this ever happened to you? Thank you for your great audience participation. I know it is still the post-lunch coma phase where people are still slightly meditative. So, our abhyas, our practice, is something private. We don't have to reveal our mantra. We don't have to reveal our vows, our guru. These are things that are sacred, that we worship, that we practice. Vairagyena, or detachment, comes from reading the books and hearing from authorized sources. Naturally, when you hear Bhagavad-Gita, a natural sense of detachment will set in. That is a normal sequence. Bhakti pareshanubhavo viraktir anyatrascha. Chaishatrika ekakala pratyapnyanamasa yatashnatas shyus tushti pushti kshut apayonugasam. Just like when you're eating, you're relishing the meal, so there is taste, there is nourishment, satisfaction, and absence of hunger. In a similar way, when you practice bhakti, there is taste. Do you have taste in your practice of bhakti? Do I have taste? That is the question. If I do not have taste in my practice of bhakti, then my mind will go somewhere else to look for taste. Has your mind ever told you should check your messages while you're sitting in class or while you're chanting japa or while you're taking prasadam and you started scrolling while you were pretending to be practicing bhakti? Has this ever happened to you? Or is it just me? Then if somebody were to ask you, what did you just read? What did he just talk about? What did you just eat today? You would say, I don't know. I just don't remember. Because you were busy scrolling. When I go on college campuses to distribute Bhagavad-Gitas, I ask students, are you a reader or are you a scroller? And I ask the people in the class the same thing. Are you readers or are you scrollers? What are you? Let's see it. Who is a reader? Okay, that's about 7 people. Who is a scroller? Who speaks English? So, now, when you imagine, Prabhupada is making these very specific words. He's using these very specific words that trigger analogies, because the mind thinks in pictures. When you hear the horse, you envision the horse? How many of you have ever sat on a horse? Okay, your homework is you got to actually go and ride a horse, all right? So you will see that if you want to ride a horse without the horse being bridled and you having the proper gear to control the horse is very scary. is very scary. In a similar way, if our mind is not controlled by suitable practice, by appropriate means, it's a very scary thing. Why? Because your mind can take you in many places. Has your mind ever taken you in many places? Have you ever gone down the rabbit hole? You know the saying, going down a rabbit hole? Have you ever opened your phone or computer in the name of research and you started typing something and a couple of hours later you ended up in a different universe? Has this ever happened to you? No? Never, right? Never. Yes. Thank you for your honesty. You know? We're here for our own practice. We're not here to impress anybody. We're not here to, it's not a popularity contest. It's not whoever gets the most likes is the guy who's gonna win the game and you know, he goes first. No. Huh? If we don't have introspection and self-assessment, it will be very difficult to make progress. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You ever see people who are lost, who are just kind of wandering around wherever the currents take them? But bhakti is very specific. It's a very specific path that we're treading, and that's why Srila Prabhupada is using very specific language in order to guide us, so we will actually achieve the objective of the human form of life, which is prema pumartha mohan. We want Kṛṣṇa prem, right? Is that still the goal? Yeah? Anybody? Kṛṣṇa prem? Yes? 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 Okay, just checking. Sometimes they change the ideologies, you know? Like, these are very transient times, so there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of confusion about where we're going and what is the actual aim. It is Kṛṣṇa prem. Now, bhakti is the path of grace without following the previous acharyas. Shruti smritri puranadi pancharatrika vidim vina aikantika harer bhaktir utpatayaiva kalpate. If we're not following Shruti, Smriti, and Purana, what happens? Our so-called abhyas, our so-called practice, will simply create disturbance in society. Have you ever seen that happen? So, we are very fortunate, like we heard this morning from His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, that, quoting in regards to the most holy places, to be in line with the mood of our founder Acharya, to take shelter at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet means to take shelter in Srila Prabhupada's instructions. On his only visit to Rishikesh, Prabhupada was there for a few days. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj's memoir has written that some industrialists, Mr. Bajaj, and some friends came to see Prabhupada, and he asked for a private darshan. So Prabhupada told the disciples to leave. But Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he pressed the record button on the on the machine, and then they went out. So they asked Prabhupada, who will be your successor? Because they're industrialists, so they're concerned about, you know, how will things go on after you're gone? Because Prabhupada was very frail, very ill at that time. Srila Prabhupada said, whoever follows my instructions will be my successor. So we're very fortunate that we can take shelter in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada by studying the Bhagavad-Gita, by studying the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and by discussing how this applies in our lives. So we should ask ourselves, what is my abhyas? And what is my vairagya? In the Purport, Srila Prabhupada makes very strong points that yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. No? Yoga indriya samyama. Yoga is meant to control the indriyas. And the mind is the clearinghouse, or the sixth sense, the sense within, who controls all the other senses. If our mind is not controlled, our senses are not controlled. Huh? Now, if you were to ask any practitioner of yoga, are you controlling your senses? Are you controlling your mind? They would look at you like, what are you talking about? Because their objective is different for the most part. So, you can be a yogi and never do asanas in your life. And you can do asanas all your life and never be a yogi. So Kṛṣṇa is very mercifully giving us the science of yoga, how we can actually become yogis, by finding a suitable practice. Now, what is suitable in one country, as Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, may not be suitable in another country, according to geographical location. Why? Because people have different natures. They have different capacity. Just like his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, expected the members of the Gaudiya Math to chant 1 lakh of names, 64 rounds. When was the last time you chanted 64 rounds? Huh? So Prabhupada, he tried, and he saw it is not going to work. It's not going to work with these people. So he reduced, and he gave a number that was actually possible. So he made the adjustment. So, because Prabhupada gave us the principles of spiritual lives, and he said, you fill in the details. You adjust the details according to the situation. One time, Srila Prabhupada asked Adikeshava, then Maharaj, that was in the 70s, when they were in Manhattan, in that skyscraper temple. And Adikeshava Maharaj went down to 26 Second Avenue to see whether he can buy the place. You know that storefront, the first original temple? And Adikeshava Maharaj went and he came back and he told Prabhupada, the owner wanted too much money. It's too expensive. And also, there were so many drunks and so many drug addicts and derelicts, so many down and out people there in that neighborhood. And Srila Prabhupada's answer was very pertinent. Would you like to know what Srila Prabhupada's answer was? Yes. 5 people like to know. All the others, please cover your ears, okay? Srila Prabhupada said, oh, it's too expensive, okay. And they're drug addicts and drunks and derelicts and down and out people. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, it was also like that when I lived there. But then all of you became devotees. What does that mean? That the devotees were the drug addicts, the derelicts, and the down and out people. But because Prabhupada saw the potential, he saw the opportunity, he fanned that spark. And he gave them a practice, an abhyas, that actually works for them, that's actually suitable for them. Like sometimes new people come here and we tell them, don't do this, don't do that, don't stand here, don't eat here, don't wear like this, don't say like that. And the new people are so frightened. Can I breathe? I'm scared. If I make an offense, I'll be a leper for 10 million lifetimes, or... And they won't come again. Have you ever gone to a holy place, but you didn't want to go back there? Huh? Has it happened to you? Because the interaction was not really that inspiring? Our only objective in the Krishna conscious movement should be that the people who come, they should come again and again and again. In fact, they should feel, this is home. I don't want to leave. They should only have one question: how can I become like you? What does it take to become one like you? That should be their question. Huh? So that is the sadhya, that is the goal of our preaching. Otherwise we have failed. We're not here to impress, we're not here to sell a product. We're here to give people an opportunity. You see, Amazon sells products. We're giving people an opportunity. You get it? If you want to buy a product, you can go online. An opportunity, you need to find the right person who can hook you up, who can give you that opportunity, who understands your need. Prabhupada is very unique because he understood the need and the capacity of his audience. That requires faith in the process, sensitivity, patience, and compassion. That is what it takes to be a preacher. That is what it takes to communicate this message. Just like Kṛṣṇa, how he's dealing with Arjuna. A few months ago, I was in northern Michigan near Mackinac Bridge, right below the Canadian border, on a parking lot of a supermarket, and I went up to a middle-aged man with his son, and as he saw me and I presented him the books, he said, "Prabhupada is my favorite author." That's a pretty bold statement for some, random person. So his son looked at him like, "That, what, who?" So he had some explaining to do. He had to explain to him who, what. So he took more books, and I also gave them beads, and I gave them Prabhupada movie, and it was really nice exchange. But I saw how Prabhupada had touched his heart. Why? Because Prabhupada spoke his language, you see. When you're trying to communicate a message nowadays, people are not really looking for teachers. They're not really looking for gurus. Have you noticed? They're not. People are looking, what are they looking for on social media? Friends, right? What does friend mean? Friend means eye to eye. It means equality. Prabhupada was the age of the grandfather, yet he made everybody feel that he was their best friend. The Hells Angels thought he was one of us. The hippies thought he was one of us. The academics, the scholars, they thought he's one of us. That's Prabhupada's genius. Why? Because he did not have a superiority complex or an inferiority complex. So we got to get rid of our upadhis. Whatever labels, whatever designations that are there on our mental spreadsheet. Do you keep a mental spreadsheet of who you are and what you need to do in life and what you want to accomplish? That's the nature of the mind. But all these things have to go. Today we had a discussion about that verse. Yasyaham manugrinami harishetaddanam shanai. Kṛṣṇa will exactly attack your weakness. He will take away what is most dear to us. If it's money, he'll take away your money. If it's fame, he'll take away your fame. If it's your power or your potency, he'll take away your power or your potency. Why? Whatever gets in between Kṛṣṇa and you has to go. That's vairagya. Now, we can die before dying by giving it up voluntarily. Whoever's phone is ringing, you'll have to buy a Bhagavad-Gita. Oh, he's leaving now. We lost somebody. No, he's staying. That's good. That's good. No, he's still going. What can be done? We can only try. So, it's important that we actually go deeper in the text. Otherwise, we're just here turning pages, turning beads, turning leaf plates, and we're not really actually entering into the real thing. I was down in Miami on South Beach, and it was spring break. Now, for those of you who are from a different cultural context, when the schools are out, the students go to party. And that means they go to the beach, they go to all these party spots. So it was a zoo. It was very wild. I was in front of a pharmacy, and one middle-aged African-American lady came out of the store, and she was yelling into her phone. Have you ever seen somebody yelling into a phone? Doesn't it look weird? Like, why are you yelling at the phone, you know? Like, what's the phone got to do with this, you know? And you wonder, like, how is the person on the other side doing, you know? Like, what a poor way of communicating, you know, like yelling at a phone, right? So this went on for a little while, and I had two choices: either avoid her or talk to her. Now, being who I am, I chose to talk to her. So while she was yelling at the phone, I started talking to her, and I asked her, is the mind your best friend or your worst enemy? Are you mindful or mindless? How is your mind doing right now? Have you tried meditation? After a while, she stopped yelling, and she said, I'm so angry. I could scream and yell at the world. I said, yeah, I get that. I understand that. I feel that. She said, but keep talking, it's working. So I just calmly continued to talk to her that most of the things in this world are beyond our control. We can't change them. We can't even influence them. But the way we respond, that is very much in our control. That we can always change, and that we can always improve. And she had to agree. So she took books, and at the end, she smiled. She was peaceful. She was happy. And she actually got it. She actually got it. So you can see people changing 180 right in front of you. Why? The process works. Kṛṣṇa consciousness is not a personality cult. We're not selling some imagery of different... You know, you remember when you were young? I mean, it's been a while for some of us. But you were into some music star or sports star or some idol, somebody that you were, you know, a little bit attracted or infatuated to. You put their poster on the wall. So sometimes we kind of keep those notions and we take them into Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And then it's all about my group and my teacher and my little thing, my project. But Kṛṣṇa consciousness is a spiritual science. It's a process. It's not about a figurehead. It's not about a picture. If we don't understand that, as soon as that person goes, people start walking out the door. You know how many people walked out when Prabhupada left the planet? A lot of people walked out. Huh? So, it's important that we discuss and study this because history has a way of repeating itself. Now, we're blessed because we have so much guidance. We have so many role models. We're here today because of the austerity, the sacrifices, and the blessings of our seniors, our elders. Unfortunately, we don't treat them like elders. We treat them like managers, like consultants, like strategists and administrators. We should allow them to be elders. What do elders do? What do the grandparents do? Protect and share, advise, but mostly they just share their kindness. They just share their experience. They're just lavishing their affection on others. I remember my grandmother. She used to pick me up at the train station. I was a young boy. I went there, rode alone the train. I was 7, 8 years old. And I stayed with her. She cooked what I liked. She took me to the pool. She read me stories. We need grandmothers. We need grandfathers who can share their experience. We have enough managers. We have enough engineers. We have enough business consultants. We need elders. That means abhyasena, vairagyena. But if we don't allow them to do that, we're forcing them to still be in administrative mode. And thus everyone is missing out and suffering. That means the next generation has to step in and take on responsibility. What does it mean? It means the ability to respond. So, Srila Prabhupada has shown us the path. He has shown us the way forward. And it's very interesting times right now. Because whenever there is crisis, there is great opportunity. Are we seeing the current situation as a great opportunity, or are we seeing it as a great disaster, as a great crisis? I'd rather go for opportunity. Huh? As you may have noticed, things are not going exactly as planned in the world right now. I know you're not watching the news and you're not doing social media and you're not living the online experience. You're here in the Dham, busy just chanting Hare Krishna, right? Huh? Right now is the best time to share Krishna consciousness. People are confused, disturbed, anxious. There's great fear. It's the best time to share Krishna consciousness. You can go up to anybody in the world and ask them, how are you doing right now? And they won't say, I'm great, or leave me alone, or what's your problem? They'll say, could be better. So. Why, you got something for me? You have something for me? Did you ever meet people who had that question? Do you have something for me? Do you got something that will improve my life? Please tell me. I'm ready to hear. It's not screaming. It's just what kids do to communicate, you know? It's like birds. You know, you hear birds sometimes? It's just the way how they communicate. Huh? So kids will be kids. And we're supposed to be the grown-ups. So we're discussing this. And I'm bringing out these points because I'm asking, where's the mom? Because we need moms also. All right. I don't want to put too much out in one go here. So we have time for a couple of questions or comments. I believe we go till 6:30, then we got Gora Arti. So I humbly like to request all of you to take this important time and use it as an opportunity to make the effort and distribute some of your realization, some of that nectar that's overflowing in your heart, and share it with the people that you meet by giving them a book, by giving them prasadam, But first and foremost, by giving people quality time, by giving them attention. I have so many God brothers who are great scholars, who are great orators, who are very learned, who are very renounced. I'm very fortunate. I have very few people who are good listeners. Very few. Did you ever have somebody who paid undivided attention and listened to you? You have to think hard, right? When was the last time that actually happened? Huh? Prabhupada was a person like that because he really cared. He really cared. That's why he stayed up every night and wrote 6 pages. Every night Prabhupada was up for a few hours writing. Why? Because he felt our pain. And he wanted to give us the medicine in a way that we could take it and that it would actually cure us from our misconceptions, from our disease. That's why Prabhupada did it. He was fine. He was sitting in Radha Damodar. Can't get better than that. Now, if you want to distribute a book, tell people simple things like this. How is your mind? Is it your best friend or your worst enemy? Are you mindful or are you mindless? You can tell them, the only quiet place in the universe is in the eye of the storm. You know where that is? That's in the center. Where is the center? Radha Damodar, Vrindavan. That is the center. That is the hub. Everything else is moving around and is getting crushed. But if you're in Vrindavan consciousness, you're connected to the source. You're in the eye of the storm. But if we're not there, if the modes are having their play, then we again get pulled out and crushed under the maze of material energy. So if you want to share this message with others, please take to heart. People want to be heard. They want to be validated. Ask them, how are you doing? Anything that could improve your life? Hear them out. And you'll be surprised. They will want to know why you can be the way you are. They will take your message seriously. Hare Krishna. Questions, comments? Yes. Parma.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Wonderful. You said that have you ever had anyone who says, well, what have you got for me? Improve my life. I find that people first of all have a covering to say, what do you want from me? They may actually, you may experience Prabhu, what have you got for me? I'm finding that people have this reaction, so what do you want from me? So they're living they're a little frightened when approaching and talk nicely, but eventually they've got this covering that says, what do you want from me? So how do we get around that?
You get around that by saying, as Vaisheshi Prabhu said, that we don't need anything. We're good. We don't sell these. We don't need the money. Can you say that? We don't sell these. We don't need the money. We're good.
We don't sell these. We don't need the money.
We're good.
We're good.
Do you believe that? Are you good? Because I got news for you. If you're going out into the world to get something from the world has a way of disappointing you. Have you ever been disappointed in the world? Or from the people in the world? Never, right? You always get what you wanted. Huh? So, but if you go out into the world and you don't want to get something from the world, but you're going out to give. Like a king who is slightly intoxicated and he just opens his treasure chest and he just grabs a bag of precious stones and necklaces and diamonds and he just goes out on the streets and just hands it out to everybody. So people ask why. They say, why? Because today's your lucky day, brother. That's why. Sometimes people ask you, are you happy? Have you ever had that one? Are you happy? And then like, it's not up to me to judge, you tell me. I mean, it's not an intellectual process to communicate the message. We're not tarkies. We're not trying to argue and, defeat people in debate. You just win them over. Prabhupada was just charm people. He was just endear people. And that comes from very deep practice. And firm faith. Kṛṣṇa, what is it? Sudra Dinishchoy, Kṛṣṇa Bhakti, Sarva Karma Kaila Kritahoy. How does it start? Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudrino Nishchoy, Kṛṣṇa Bhakti Kaila, Sarva Karma Kritahoy. To have firm faith. Krishna's got my back. I'm okay. I don't have to stress. If I'm stressing, I'm under the modes. It means I'm not really doing my bhajan. I'm not really there. You're welcome. Other points? Not all at once. Yes, right behind you. Right behind you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. You please put it right to your mouth, because otherwise you won't be heard.
I like what you're saying about this Vrindavan consciousness and this bhakti, all these things that you're talking about that is teaching, it can all be tied into this bhakti. A lot of times, though, we forget about that link. We get caught up in desires for sense gratification, religiosity, liberation, economic development. It gets a little distracting sometimes, but anyway, I like how you type it into that.
Well, thank you for your kind comment. And that's why we need to hear the Gita, to remind us, because sometimes we can get caught up in our own mental loop and we don't even notice it. Has this ever happened to you? You went off on a tangent and you didn't even notice till you were at the dead end in front of that brick wall, tasting that mortar, and it didn't taste so great. It wasn't like sweet rice or anything like it. And then you realized, oh, I went down the wrong street. I need to backtrack. Have you noticed the traffic now? It's kind of horrendous, isn't it? Huh? Can you backtrack? No way. No way. Huh? Once you're in, that's it. You're stuck. But what you can do is you can get off the high horse, you can get off the rickshaw or the car or whatever you're on, and turn around and go back to where you came from. But that requires a little bit of humility. And that humility comes through our practice. What is our practice? Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma. Sharing this message with others. This is our practice. Yes, it's good to do Kartik in Vrindavan. It's good to do our vows. But we should also meditate. Okay, what am I going to do for this world? What's my contribution for this ISKCON movement? What am I going to try to do to repay Guru and Gauranga for their sacrifices? So that requires a little bit of gratitude, introspection, and humility. And then, by their mercy, they will empower us. You can become a conduit. People will be mesmerized. Oftentimes they go like, wow, did you just make that up? Or where did you get that from? Huh? I was in San Jose State University, which is a college in California, big engineering school. And I met one boy, and I couldn't figure out where he was from. I couldn't figure out what he was doing. He was very nondescript. He was very kind of weird. Normally, I'm very good at reading people because it's my job. But there was nothing that gave it away. So I didn't know how to approach him. I didn't know how to talk to him. He was very reserved, very kind of standoffish. So what do you do when you don't know what to do? Come on, work with me, people.
Chant.
You chant, yes. What does chanting mean?
Connect with Kṛṣṇa.
Yeah, connect with Kṛṣṇa. You say, Kṛṣṇa, now would be a good time for a little miracle. Right? Like, help me out here, right now. Like, you don't know what to say. You don't know how to reach this person. Has this ever happened to you? You have people who are just out of your league. So somehow, I walked up to him and I said, "You are Uyghur. You speak Uyghur, Russian, and Chinese, and English." And he said, "How the heck did you find me?" Now I know nothing about Uyghurs. I don't know why I said it. I don't know how that word popped into my head. I was in Miami on South Beach. There were two businessmen walking down, and they were all the right stuff. They were having an animated business discussion, and they had all the fancy stuff on. And they were very busy. So I didn't know how to approach them, because when two people are talking, to jump in there is a little daring. It's a little risky. But I figured, what the heck. So I went up to them and I said, "I know it's hard to be humble when you're 53 years old and 6'3" tall." And one of the guys went, "Do you know me? You've been following me?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm 53 years old and I'm 6'3". I know how you feel." And he gave me a big hug. And he took the book and he handed over his $20. And both were very happy. The point I'm trying to make is, Kṛṣṇa consciousness is not an intellectual exercise. It's not a mechanical thing. It's not do 3 of those and 4 of those and 16 of those. And we're not smartas. We're not just counting our punya and trying to get rid of sins. This movement runs on the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And that comes through the Guru Parampara. So let us meditate on Srila Prabhupada's sacrifice, on the sacrifices and prayers and blessings of our elders, those who have passed on and those who are still here. And let us show our gratitude by accepting their kindness and sharing it with others in the true spirit of Sankirtan, Samyak Kirtan. It's a team effort. Everybody is included. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is part of the team. You know that shloka from the Gita Mahatmya? Devaki Putra Gitam. Who knows the shloka? Come on. Give me that shloka. One book, one mantra, one goal, one God. Come on. Haribo! You see, that's why we need grandmothers, okay? Because they know that stuff. Huh? Jai Mata. So thank you very much. Happy Kartik, happy Bahulastami, happy. Share your realization, your bliss with others. And I guarantee you, they will pay you back in the same currency. If you give them your heart, people will give you back in the same currency. And that's when Tushyanticha Ramanticha, that's when real bhajan starts to happen. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasundubhyevacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.